right?
Yep.
What do people do when someone's dead? They're dead. Now we have to do the funeral. Now we have to, oh man, all the shit they left to. So you put yourself in the shoes of someone who is no longer here. They're dead, right? But we all keep saying they're still with us, right? But they're dead. They're fucking gone, right?
Yep.
And at the same time, we try to put ourselves in their shoes to go, what would the person want, right? And how many fucking family melting arguments have happened because two or more people swear up and down, oh no, uncle whoever wants this, oh no, cousin whoever would want this.
Right. Yeah.
They're all walking around with their own fucking phantasms. So we have a bunch of people walking around with these phantasms in their head that say the Trump election was rigged.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the phantasm. Okay, good. Very, very important. Very relevant to modern day.
Judith
I'm really
Butler
sad.
might be the most misunderstood philosopher.
Pause. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm really sad because my grandpa is very much willfully ignorant. And so is my grandma, I guess. Because she mentioned how, you know, people are willfully not doing things that could make them money or whatever because they don't want to, right? And that's what if my grandpa would just bite the bullet and go back to school for like a year, he'd be making, you know, $50 an hour or something doing mechanics work because he's got the experience for that shit.
Man, I can't. I could not go back to working on cars, even if my back was fine.
He likes working on vehicles.
Like
that's why
he doesn't like working on new cars.
No, he doesn't.
He will not like working on current cars.
He likes working on tractors though, and even older tractors or newer tractors. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dank. Tractors are okay, just as long as they're not John Deere.
I mean, the city doesn't have John Deere, but yeah. But my point is that he could be going back to school, get, you know, some shitty degree, and then he'd be making bank, easy. Even he could even go in so far as becoming a consultant or something, right? Something really easy to do for an older person who has, you know, 50 years of experience working on shit. Like,
right.
that kind of, but he doesn't want to. It's really sad.
Yeah, no, I feel it. You get old and you don't want to do shit. I'm already there. I'm not even old and I'm already old. You know what I mean? So I get it. I feel that, but you know, I'm not so old that I refuse to try to find other things to make myself money. Anyways, 10 minutes of this. This is hellaciously relevant to a whole lot of stuff because the most misunderstood philosopher in the world is not a fucking understatement. She nailed this is it. This is the perfect name for this fucking video.
Yep, I'm listening. I'm ready. Let's
go. Judith Butler might be the most misunderstood philosopher in the world, so I decided to read as much of their work as I could in 1 month. Actually, I read it in like 4 months, but it's YouTube videos need now.
Who the fuck is Judith Butler?
Judith Butler is the person that all the right wingers keep quoting as the person that says, "Oh well, you know, then since gender is a fucking construct, then I'm an Apache attack helicopter."
Wait, is she actually the one who said I'm an Apache attack helicopter?
No, that's not it. That's the jump. Like again, the prism, right? The phantasm, right?
Oh.
People get that from her work by reading the first sentence in like a 6-page fucking paper. They don't read the rest. So in this 10 minutes, it'll give you a better idea of Butler's work than 90% of the fucking dumbasses on the planet that have claimed to read it.
That's really upsetting because I never claimed to read it, but I was still in the boat of, you know.
Right. And when you hear just this 10 minutes, the rest of the video is amazing. But once you hear this 10 minutes, you're going to cringe internally very bigly.
Like, to be clear, right? My stance on gender was that, and is that, it's whatever you feel. But, like, at the same time, don't be an asshole about it. That's always been my thing about it. So...
Right. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
So even back when I was an idiot teenager, right? When I first started hearing about people talking about the attack helicopter, I thought it was funny, but I also agreed with the sentiment of, don't be an asshole about it. That's what I thought it was. It wasn't that, apparently, but I didn't know. I was an idiot teenager.
Yeah. It's no, it's okay. It's people digging up hyperbole and ridiculousness where it does not exist.
So just to iterate, right? I heard the attack helicopter thing. I didn't know who this Butler lady was. I've never read any of her work or none of that shit.
Yep, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. It's just the clinical definition of things. And this is what really sucks, because Ben Shapiro dunks on people that have not read what they should read if they're going to talk about it, right?
Right.
And the joke is, Ben Shapiro would never debate this lady on gender because this lady would destroy his mother. I mean, like, it would destroy him so completely his mom would die if she's not already dead.
So, I don't necessarily... It depends. I don't think his stance on destroying people who don't read whatever you need to read, it's like, how do you know what to read, right? I had no idea where the attack helicopter thing came from, right?
It's not matter. It's not. It's like, okay. So
No.
when I talk about something that I really know, like a poet, right?
Yeah.
When I tell you about cars, okay?
Yeah.
Anything about fucking cars. When I talk about aircraft and the shit that I know about said aircraft. When I talk to you about events in U.S. history,
Yeah.
I've read it. And it does not take me long to go back and say, oh yeah, no, I was right. This is the thing. Or, oh shit, I was wrong. It's actually this, right? Because I've read this shit.
Right.
The Ben Shapiros of the world do not debate people that have read the shit. That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's not a
okay.
no.
I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah. They have not. They don't have an actual grounded reality. They have the edges of what it is that they think is right. Just like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro doesn't know shit. He's a dumbass. He's just fucking ace on the debate team, right? Winning a debate is just being the better liar.
Winning a
Like,
debate's
winning
not
an
that
argument-
hard. It's
Say
really winning debates aren't that hard.
It's just being the better liar. It's just being the better argumentative person.
You don't even have to be the better liar. You just have to argue better than the other person.
Which means you're probably a liar.
It
I'm not
depends.
calling you a liar. I'm not calling you a liar.
I know you're not. No. I just mean you don't necessarily have to lie to win an argument by being good at arguing. You just
That's
have
what
to change.
happens.
You just have to
what
change
happens.
what the topic is about subtly, like.
Which is incredibly disingenuous.
Yes,
And
it is.
then, I'm just calling that lying with extra steps.
It is.
Like,
It's
not
for
like,
for the
so many
intents and
times-
purposes of debating. It's shit. You shouldn't do it because
Yeah.
you're
You've
not.
lost. You've lost. We need to stop. We need to acknowledge that you've lost, and then we can move on.
You've stopped debating. You've stopped debating about the thing you're debating, and you've changed the debate. That's
Like, no, like, okay, like, no, like I legit, when people do that to me, I say, oh, no, hold on, we got to stop for a second. You know, like, and they keep talking. I go, okay, you can shut the fuck up. We need to roll this back, or debate's over, and you can take the L.
I haven't done that to you, have I?
And they're like, huh?
I haven't tried to change debate topic or anything on you, have I?
A couple of times, but not like on anything that's super important, and not like it was anything malicious. So I didn't like. Otherwise, I would have called you out on it.
Right.
Like, because I hate
When
that.
did I
That's a
do
pet
that
peeve
then?
of mine.
I want to know because I don't want to do it on. I don't want to do it on accident.
No. You're fine. Like,
know.
I know you've done it. I cannot remember.
Oh.
It was so insignificant. I cannot remember when it happened. The only reason why I even have that about it is because it's a pet peeve the same size as someone putting words in my mouth.
Yep.
Like, I just fuck that. That's
Yep. Which
But,
I don't do that. I don't think. I try not to.
No. You're really careful about that.
Because
I can't think of an instance that you've done that.
like because I don't. If I'm talking to someone, I want to have that intellectuality. That's not a word.
You want to have a conversation.
Yep.
It's that simple. You can't have a conversation with somebody if you're having it for them.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
anyways,
Moving back on this video.
Judith Butler might be the most misunderstood philosopher in the world, so I decided to read as much of their work as I could in 1 month. Actually, I read it in like 4 months.
I didn't know where we were.
It's okay.
YouTube videos need narrative now. Butler has been writing for over 40 years about a lot of things, including gender. If you've ever heard the idea that gender is performative, that's them. Their work has also been the subject of huge backlash. Like in 2017, protesters in Brazil burned an effigy of Judith Butler. Philosophy doesn't usually get that spicy. I must have missed the effigy making class during my degree.
Why?
Interestingly, the people with the strongest reactions to Butler...
Don't restart the video again.
No, I'm not. Because gender is performative. That's that's one of the big messages in the original paper.
What does performative mean in this instance?
Okay.
Like, what is...
to define performative, right?
Yes.
So, an actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take Robert Downey Jr. in his titular role in Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
Okay. Before Robert Downey Jr. was born, okay, what's black was already a thing, right? What's macho was already a thing, right?
Oh,
what's
okay.
ethnic was already a thing, right? These were predefined things. Like, you're not born black, okay? Like, you're not born black. You're not born. You're not born a man or a woman, right? Because the things that define a man or woman, as far as gender is concerned, not reproduction, gender, okay?
Yep.
Not sex, gender. These things are defined before we're born, right? And we don't have the choice as to what that is or not. The most common thing people say to prove, but they don't know where they're going with it, so they say it and people disregard it. But now that I've said the following will make more sense. Pink used to be a boy's color, as defined by society.
Yeah.
So yeah, gender's performative.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like it's an act.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean now. Yep. I just wanted to make sure we were clear on the same meaning.
And I'm sorry, my exasperation is not at you in the slightest. My exasperation is is at all the fuck jobs that get this wrong, and then I try to set them straight, and they just kind of stick their fingers in their ears and go la 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 la, or make it about something else that it is not. Because then they start talking about Target, and I'm like, okay, cool. So you're gonna pull out this one instance that's happened in the last 50 years since people have been regularly transitioning.
What's this about Target?
Some alleged trans person went into Target and was trying to look at kids or some shit like that, and I'm like, okay, so a creepy person did a creepy thing.
Yeah.
Like, so now you're gonna tell me that oh yeah, a black person went into the bike shop and stole a bike. You know, like, okay, so what does them being black have to do with them being in a bike shop and stealing a bike? Please tell me, right? And then they're gonna go, oh, you know, I know what about black people. Please tell me I know what about black people. Right? So no, that's not how that works. A shitty person went somewhere and did a shitty thing.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I just wanted to...
I often haven't understood or even
read
their work.
No,
and now they have a new book
about
the backlash. Who's afraid of gender? I've deliberately filmed the bulk of this video on a white void background with minimal costumes. Kind of an old-fashioned style on YouTube these days, but I wanted to get across the idea that as controversial as this stuff might be, there's nothing hidden, you're not committing yourself to anything by hearing it, it's just an invitation to listen and consider a different point of view. And really, that's a skill we could all do with practicing, because this philosophy has huge real-world implications. I was inspired to take this research journey when I read this article in the Washington Post. Students from E.C. Glass High School in Lynchburg, Virginia applied for a grant from It Gets Better, a non-profit dedicated to kids' mental health. And they got it! They were awarded $10,000 to put a chill-out room in their school, a space with comfy chairs and relaxed lighting to go if they're stressed. Nice. But the school board sent the money back. They said that if they took it, students would have to watch pro-LGBTQ videos, which wasn't true. It Gets Better does focus on helping LGBTQ kids, but the room would have been open to anyone and the grant had no requirements about watching anything. But the board wouldn't listen. The board discussed this for longer than they discussed the literal closure of 2 entire schools in their district, and that stunned me. A school board rejected $10,000 of free money and talked about something that isn't true for so long, it impaired their ability to work. So what happened here? Why couldn't they listen? This polarization is exactly what Butler's interested in. I'll take you through their technical philosophy. Although really, I wish I could just show you, because I'm somebody whose mind has definitely changed on these issues. But it's not like I can just go back in time and talk to my past self. Oh my god. These Madeleines are amazing.
He looks so uncomfortable.
You surprised?
Yeah.
Why?
Fair.
No,
But how surprised are you?
he just
really?
looks really uncomfortable.
They're the same person.
What?
They're the same person.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of makeup to bring her back to him, but they're the same person.
Wait,
So-
so is it actually the same person acting, or is it 2 people acting in the same room, and this is just like
No, it's a
recreation?
cutaway. It's a cutaway. So
Okay.
they're in costume over here, right, and makeup over here. They're them over here.
That is really
So-
wild. They still look really uncomfortable. I mean,
Well, less comfortable than her, but the thing is that this is so now that you know that, right? I'm just gonna go back a couple seconds, so now this makes more sense to you. All right?
and you don't have. Oh,
Oh,
that's fine. You didn't have to. I get it now. It just
Voice
caught me off
down
guard.
the phone.
oh, here we go. Yeah.
So, you surprised?
Yeah.
Fair. But how surprised are you really?
You look like Mum.
Right?
You sound different.
Seattle Voice Lab. Look them up. I can turn it on and off whenever I want. Oh my god. So in about 3 years, we have to move flats. And the internet contract is in your name. So when I call to cancel it, they won't talk to me. And I have to say, hang on a minute, I'll go get him and do your voice down the phone.
How did Mum and Dad take it?
Really well, actually. There's this nice moment in about 3 years when you and Dad are going to be out. Actually, I think you're gone by this point. It's just me and him. And we bump into some old family friends.
Wow.
And they're super awkward about it. And
that
Dad's
was
just
brutal.
Like, "Pff, whatever, their problem.
He's not embarrassed.
Why would he be embarrassed?
Were you dressed like this?
I dress however I want. Dude, that's the whole point! The whole thing is so liberating. Seriously, you are gonna love it. Just the freedom to be how you
I
want to be.
don't want to be like you.
Why not? Let's talk about femboys. I began at
That's a
the beginning.
fucking cutaway.
Butler's
Holy shit.
1988 paper, Performative Acts and Gender Constitution, one of the first things they ever wrote. And
This
right
is-
up top, we should
this is it,
acknowledge
by the way. This
Butler's
is the paper.
academic writing can sometimes be pretty difficult. And that's fair enough. Gender is a difficult subject. Mine took me 2 attempts. What made it click for me is it reminded me of a friend who will
She's
call
great. Holy fuck.
F. F is very cool, clever, and funny, and unpretentious, the kind of person who turns up to a fancy restaurant wearing a trucker hat. F is also a femboy. Femboys take on attributes that are typically considered feminine, but they are not themselves women, usually. Femboy is also a genre of online content. F
Reverse
dresses up
transfer
like a
them
girl
now.
and streams himself playing video games. When I first met F, I wondered, is femboy a gender? Well, it's less a thing that you are and more a thing that you do, like a job. And interestingly, because the femboy aesthetic is so shaped by online content, to do femboy in a way that other people will recognize requires you to adopt certain behaviors and stylized practices whose meaning is not determined by you. You can't choose what the trends are, what styles of makeup or dress signal femboy. You've got to learn them and do them if you want to be seen that way. And F works pretty hard at that. If you're very clever, you'll already have guessed where this is going. According to Butler, all gender works that way. In this paper, they say that gender is a thing we do through repeated, stylized acts, not a property, but an embodied event. Those acts get their meaning from a social world, so in a way, gender is also a thing that is done to us.
Gender is in no way a stable identity or locus of agency from which various acts proceed. Rather,
Read the narrator at the bottom. Yeah. Yeah.
Finster.
it's an identity tenuously constituted
Wait.
in time. An identity instituted.
This isn't Finster, right? I'm
The
not
person
crazy.
who's
the person who's doing who's doing the video itself isn't Finster.
no, they're not Finster.
Okay, I just double
No, no,
checking.
no.
I'm just making sure I'm not
this
crazy.
This is a separate person that she called F.
Oh, okay, so she knows Finster. Okay.
Yeah, Avi.
Yep. Got it.
Instituted through
So,
a
this is the
stylized
femboy.
repetition of acts. Further, gender is instituted through a stylization of the body, and hence must be understood as the mundane way in which bodily gestures, movements, and enactments of various kinds constitute the illusion of an abiding gendered self.
You're ridiculous.
Says discount Tom Hiddleston.
Your face doesn't look like me
Discount
anymore.
Tom
Did you get plastic surgery on my face?
Well, there's no plastic in me, babes. I'm all natural.
Artificial surgery makes you natural, does it?
At first glance, Butler's ideas seemed a little strange to me, because we often talk as if gender is an inner truth. For example, when people change gender and come out, we're often said to be living authentically
pause for
or
a second?
being true to ourselves.
Being a furry is a gender. You get into it enough.
Yeah, it is very performative.
Embarrassingly, it was my gender for a while.
Yeah, more species than gender, but yes,
Yeah.
it is a similar thing. It is something. It's you're not born a furry, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's just that if I'm understanding
Even
this
the
right,
term coming
then
out.
yeah.
Yeah. That this is why, and this is the contention, right? Like we've still got 3 minutes more to go until you get it or should get it, but the idea is that gender is performative. The more accurate way to say it is that being a furry or furries are performative.
Yep.
That's it. It doesn't mean that furry. It doesn't necessarily mean that furry is gender. I'd say it's not. But because even amongst furries, you have
Levels and stuff like that.
male, female, non-binary.
Yeah.
Right, like that. So the deal is that as fursuiting is performative, so is gender.
Implies that there was an authentic self before who was hidden. But according to Butler, there might be no such thing. It's not that I exist and then I choose to perform gender in ways that you will recognize. I can't even form a concept of I without using gendered language and stylized practices whose meaning exists prior to me. Gender is one of the ways that human subjects come into existence. The technical term here is subjectification, and that process happens publicly. Gender creates the illusion of a private self which exists before all of that, but this is just an illusion. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, it has no pronouns. Herein lies the distinction between performative and performance, which are often mixed up. When people say gender is a performance, they mean that people exist first without gender, and then they put on costumes or makeup or wigs the way that an actor does. But that's not what Butler is saying. Performative is a technical philosophy term for when you say something, and by saying it, you also do it. For example, if you say, I promise, you say the words, and you make a promise. If a judge says, I sentence you, they say it, and they do it. When Butler says that gender is performative, they mean it that way. You do it, and you make it so. And indeed, by doing it, you are made so. And people have made fun of Butler for this idea. I've seen people say, oh, Judith Butler says you can just choose to be any gender you want. Oh, men can choose to be women, and women can choose to be baboons, and I can choose to be an attack helicopter. Ha ha, how silly. But when I actually read their work, I realized that's not what they're saying at all. Our very concept of ourselves as gendered subjects requires a social world. We depend on others for the recognition we need to become gendered subjects. We can still make some choices, wear whatever clothes or makeup you like, but the meaning of those things is not within our sole control. People have been making jokes like that about Butler for decades, even though they address this misunderstanding in their first paper, in the first paragraph. Almost like the people mocking them aren't really listening.
Can you go back by about 2 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Oh man,
Just a bit before that.
is here good or more?
Yeah, that should be good. I have a
It's not
brainwave,
that
but I'm trying to
I
remember it.
exist and then I choose to perform gender in ways that you will recognize. I can't even form a concept of I without using gendered language and stylized practices whose meaning exists prior to me. Gender is one of the ways that human subjects come into existence. The technical term here is subjectification, and that process happens publicly. Gender creates the illusion of a private self which exists before all of that, but this is just an illusion. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's
Can you go
around to
back
hear
another
it,
2
it
minutes?
has no pronouns.
No problem. I don't. And if you have questions, I will do my best to answer.
I'm just trying to get that brainwave back because I had a brainwave and it was great, but I can't remember it now.
Oh, no problem.
We do through repeated, stylized acts, not a property, but an embodied event. Those acts get their meaning from a social world. So in a way, gender is also a thing that is done to us.
Gender is in no way a stable identity or locus of agency from which various acts proceed. Rather, it's an identity tenuously constituted in time. An identity instituted through a stylized repetition of acts. Further, gender is instituted through a stylization of the body, and hence must be understood as the mundane way in which bodily gestures, movements, and enactments of various kinds constitute the illusion of an abiding gendered self.
You're ridiculous.
Says discount Tom Hiddleston.
Your face doesn't look like me anymore. Did you get plastic surgery on my face?
Well, there's no plastic in me, babes. I'm all natural.
Artificial surgery makes you natural, does it?
At first glance, Butler's ideas seemed a little strange to me, because we often talk as if gender is an inner truth. For example, when people change gender and come out, we're often said to be living authentically or being true to ourselves. Even the term coming out implies that there was an authentic self before who was hidden. But according to Butler, there might be no such thing. It's not that I exist and then I choose to perform gender in ways that you will recognize. I can't even form a concept of I without using gendered language and
pause.
stylized practices whose meaning.
So, what Butler's trying to do, is trying to close the gap, right? Trying to encourage people to stop separating themselves from themselves. There is no separation of gender. You're just being pressured by outside forces to separate.
No.
No,
That is a good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm trying to
You
think of,
think.
I don't think I'm phrasing it entirely the way I want to, but that's the idea I'm flowing for. You know what I mean?
I get you. That is a good train of thought to have, and you can pull that from this, but it's not even that deep, and that's why I'm so bothered. Right? That's
Well-
why this hurts me on the inside. The fact that people misrepresent the information so bigly. All this philosopher is doing, the butler, right? All she is doing is rigorously defining gender. That's all this is. This is a rigorous definition of gender.
Yep.
So there's no way, like, you can't argue with the definition.